upon. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. What is gone, we build upon. What is gone, we build upon. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. What is gone, what is gone, we build upon. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. Holy ground is all around. Holy ground is all around. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. What is gone, we build upon. What is gone, we build upon. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. Stone by stone, tear by tear, we release and rebuild right here. Holy ground is all around. Holy ground is all around.
Thank you, Keshira. Welcome, everybody. By the waters of Babylon, by the waters of Babylon, we sat down and wept for you, Zion. We sat down and wept for you, Zion. We remember you, Zion. We remember you, Zion. Welcome, everybody, to this amazing gathering of a transition, a metamorphosis out of Tisha B'av. I'm so honored to have great teachers and leaders and all of you going from grief to healing to joy at the end of Tisha B'av, our national day of mourning, a day where we mourn Black lives and violence, where we mourn for our country. The real mourning might not be the external temple, but what's happening inside of us. Yes, the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. We were expelled from Spain. We sat down and we wept. We went through grief and we came out of grief. And through grieving, there's healing. And our ritual today is a remarkable combination of teachers who've understood grief in their own lives, as I have, and understood joy. So we've designed this ritual to move towards a ceremony in which we honor a new bowl that's been commissioned, and Susan Felix has created a new magical blessing bowl that channels the mothers. Incredible. And we're going to talk more about that as we go on, but there's the bowl. It says Melanie. I guess Melanie Menzel is the bowl. And the bowl is a remarkable thing. So I want Susan to, my co-leader tonight and my teacher and my friend, my other mom in Berkeley for many, many years, and my co-conspirator in Jewish arts and radical politics. I'd like Susan to explain the course of the evening and how she conceived of it, and we will then begin with our ritual and move toward Ma'ariv, and then the ceremony, and then have a denouement. Susan.
You're muted, Susan.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you, Jonathan. In the 1980s, I went to a lecture at the Magnus that Jonathan gave about cursing bowls that you put over where you think there's a demon and you deliver a curse to it. I said, it's time for blessing bowls. We need to have bowls that are blessings and put the blessings out. And during the 80s, Jonathan and I made bowls together, and I have bowls in a lot of museum permanent collections, and then I kind of went out of that phase and started doing other things. It seemed to me now that it's time for a new blessing bowl, and my friend Melanie lent me her computer. That's why the bowl is called Melanie. But anyway, this is the bowl, and where is Arielle Tonkin? Did the beautiful, beautiful calligraphy on it, and you'll see her somewhere. And she's gonna also be doing something. And Jonathan did the prayers, and there she is. There's the bowl, and there's prayers on the edge and prayers inside. And Leah's gonna talk about the name in the center. So this is definitely a collaboration, and because we're feeling that this is a way to acknowledge an ending of the plague and also the ending of Tisha B'av, and we want to put joy out there in the world, and we want to work on the things in this world that need working on, and we want to be the people that do it. We are going to be the people that do it. There's a lot to be done. Let me see what else to say. I think I'm going to read a poem some of a poem that I wrote, and it's, I am Susan Duhan Felix, and this is dedicated to all the nameless sisters, daughters, mothers, and wives who went before me and never came into their full power to bless. After I had created and sent forth many blessing bowls, I discovered that Duhan meant the giving of the priestly blessing. I have reclaimed that name and the power. But that's passed on through the men, my father said. My husband Morton told me, I'm my father's best son, as I stretch out my hands and bless. So blessings to all of you, and let us reclaim our power to bless and send the blessings out now and into the world, and the best out there. Okay, thank you everybody, and thank you people for coming. It's so wonderful to have everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you. We love you, Susan. Thank you for all the work that you do in this world, in Berkeley, in the Bay Area. May you continue to bless us many, many more years, many more. So I'd like to invite our dear friend, our poet, Ruth Gendler, to bless us with her poem that she wrote for this occasion. Ruth.
Let us begin with courage, the courage to make our prayers tangible, to focus and offer our prayers for healing and blessing through ceremony and song. Let us begin with humility, washed with tears, singing our sorrows, whispering our longing for wholeness. Let us begin with imagination, to see the sacred in the ordinary, a bowl ancient and essential to daily life, and to name an unfamiliar ancestor, to honor our mothers. Let us begin with skill, the hand and heart of a maker, an artisan, creativity in the service of spirit. Let us begin with a specific woman, shaping bowls by hand and bringing them to her fire, covering them with sand, cooking them in darkness, and when the fire cools, uncovering the pots, transformed and wholly new. And each vessel from that firing sings its own story of survival and transformation, of emerging whole from the fire. And this one, becomes a blessing bowl. Let us begin with grief and outrage, remembering the recent dead, dying, sometimes bewildered, sometimes in grace, beloved, cherished, unnamed. We are stunned, numb, unable to keep the count current. Let us begin with dedication, to honor old rituals and bring them into our time, this time, to mend and amend our fragmentary history and enlarge the story, our stories, renew our sources. Let us begin in anguish and yearning, our yearning for healing from the far side of what we think is possible. Let us begin with language, imprecise and beautiful, pointing to immensities beyond words, beyond our minds. Let us begin with courage. Let us begin with love. Let us begin with love. Let us begin with courage. Thank you.
Let's all take a few breaths and moment of silence for those that have died in grief. Let's take some time, folks. Thank you, Ruth.
Yeah, thank you.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay. Alit Zion. Calling our sister Arielle Tonkin, who helped do the calligraphy. Arielle, if you'd speak or sing or read what's from your heart, we welcome you.
I've been honored to be the steward of that object in my home for the past few months, turning it around in my hands again and again as I paint letter by letter on the inside of the lip, first going around in Hebrew and then adding the English around the side, and lastly adding the name in the belly of the bowl. And Susan has been my dear friend and co-conspirator and collaborator since 2013 for 7 years this summer. And I'm very struck at this moment when so many elders are leaving us too soon before their time. Just the blessing of this intergenerational friendship, this like true friendship that I have with one of my elders, with you, Susan, with a fellow artist and soul sib. And even as I'm grappling with in my own body the magnitude of the whole world of death, which I've written into this kina that I'll sing for you now, this poem, liturgical poem that I'll sing for you now. And even as I'm holding that, as all of us, all of humanity is grappling with this, it's orders of magnitude different for Black and brown bodies and Indigenous communities at this time. And even as I'm feeling my heart pour out that grief, I see how having a vessel, both a physical, tangible vessel, to turn around and to paint and touch inscribe with my own marks on top of Susan's marks, I see how that mimetic practice and that haptic practice heals me. And even so, no bowl could be big enough to hold all the tears. And so that's what I write about. And I'll sing you my piyut. It's a kina for Tisha B'av in honor of Susan's amuletic bowl to heal the plague. Kol yoshvei teva b'shivam badad v'menachem lekulam zechor acharitam v'kaveh v'yeshuam divai levav olamenu achayim v'nei hayordim mayim Aval dor ledor teshev kiseimenu shebashamayim tza'ak libenu maspik dayenu yidlu zekenenu vichlu b'limaot enenu uvenizak Unshivea satam tfilatenu, avana shuva elecha kekedem, nachbesa derachenu. Kol yoshvei tevel b'shivtam vadad, ven menachem lekulam. Zechor acharitam v'kaveh le'yeshuam. Aval v'shuvatam kafik b'midbar zechor yemei bechitenu amei Hana.
Wow. Thank you, Arielle. That's beyond words. So as we leave the kina of Eicha, we remember those that have fallen. Last night, my colleague, Rabbi Deborah Kolodny, read a list of the last words of the black people who've died at the hands of the police, the men and women. And she chanted their last words to Eicha. And I thought, following that, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, Mama, I can't breathe. It was very powerful, and it changed the way that I look at Eicha, as did our dear friend who's sitting in the hospital improving, who wrote an elegy for the earth with the kina of Lamentations of Eicha, and that's Richard Kaplan. We send you love, brother, you're listening in. We send you healing for your wonderful work integrating the healing of the earth and Jewish music and melody and nusach. We send you healing. Music is the healing tonight. Our prayers, our ritual together heals us. It is our medicine, sisters and brothers. I turn to my dear friend, Ami Goodman, to lead us in a short Mariv service. It is Mariv, so Ami, we tasked you with that. Love you to share with us.
Thank you, and Erev Tov. Mariv time is a time of assured transformation, of daily change. We pray about the rolling, like the goleling of a Torah scroll, the rolling of the Torah scroll, light into dark, dark into day into night. That same transformative power rolls sorrow into joy, despair into hope, brokenness into wholeness, mourning into dancing. And with wisdom, the evening prayers remind us of the regularity of this process. Lorelei? We have Baruch et Yah HaMevorach Baruch המבורכת לעולם ועד. היי לי 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 היי לי 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 יי לי 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 לי. Ma'ariv Aravim, the power of transformation. Roll into dark, roll into night. Light becomes day, day becomes night. Roll into dark, roll into night. Light becomes day, day becomes night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech. גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. הלילה לי, הלילה לי, הלילה לי, הלילה לי. Love. ורחמים, חסד ושלום, אהבה ורחמים, חסד ושלום. Love and compassion, loving kindness, peace and wholeness. Shema Yisrael, Yah Eloheinu, Yah Echad. Shema Yisrael, Shekhinah Eloheinu, Shekhinah Achat. Coming out of the constriction and pain, Michamocha. Ya la 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 la, ya la la, la 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 la, ya la la la, la 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 la, ya la la la, la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim ya, mi kamocha nehedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osef. Safety, reassurance. Hashkivenu. Ufros aleinu sukat, sukat shlomecha. Spread over us your sukkah of peace and wholeness. Yalai, lalai, yalai, lalai. Yalai, yalai, lalai, 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 yalai, lalai. Yalai, lalai, yalai, yalai, lalai, lalai. Take a minute to silently meditate on this process of transforming from mourning into dance, from sorrow into joy, as we silently spend time with ourselves during the Amidah. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. May there be peace and wholeness in all our lives. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Shalom, shalom. And finally, healing and transforming the brokenness, the brokenness into the one. L'taken olam b'malchut Shaddai, under the nurturing, transformative power. Aleinu leshabeach lamakor hakol. Oh, come, let us praise the light of the world and add to the greatness of the shaper of life. Let us lift our hearts in joy and thanks, receiving the Spirit, the life within all life. He Eloheinu Einod, Hu Eloheinu Einod. And we hope that the broken pieces of the whole will find their way back into the single vessel of life. Bayom ahu yeh echad u'shema achat. Ein od, ein od, ein od, ein od. I think we can do Kaddish maybe perhaps later, Jonathan, or
No,
Reb Jonathan?
you can lead Kaddish now if you'd like, please.
So let's all remember those and hold them dear in our hearts. Let's form a community with each other, grabbing each other's little rectangles side by side and forming a big circle, just like the bowl, the beautiful bowl that we're being presented tonight, to hold all the names of those who we remember, who we've lost in the last few days, in the last week, in the last year, and on whose yahrzeit we remember them tonight. And we bring those names into the great name, the Shmei Rabbah, which we'll recite in the middle of the Kaddish prayer, Yehei Shmei Rabbah. All these names form the great name. Yitkadal, please unmute yourselves too, if you can. And then remember to remute yourselves. Together.
Rabbi Hanan says,
Please say the names.
John Lewis.
G. Merman.
Duhan. Duhan.
John Bryan.
Lowell. Rubenstein Lowell.
Johnson. Taylor.
Anna Taylor, Oscar
George Floyd. Tony McDade.
Leon Lyles.
Dominic Rels. Gigi Gouley.
Jay Cohen,
Frankie Franco.
Lee Goldman.
We remember all these beloved names in our virtual bowl that we're creating with our hands together as we recite Yitkadal,
Yitkadash,
Shmei Rabbah.
Yiparak v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yikraman v'yitnaseh v'yihada v'yilva v'yalsvei v'kusha v'yichud Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Chol Yisrael V'Yimenu Amen. Shalom B'Mamav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Chol Yisrael V'Chol Yisrei Tovel V'Yemeru Amen.
Their names fly like butterflies from the bowl. All the names fly like butterflies from our bowl, from the holy bowl, to the heavens, and into our hearts. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ami. Thank you, Yeshar Koach. Thank you. Let's remute ourselves, please. If we can all mute ourselves. Thank you. Let's have Cantor Evlyn.
Adonai Elecha Elecha V'nashuva Chadesh 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 Le'ameinu Tashlichenu V'ruach kodshecha V'ruach kodshecha תיקח ממנו Hana Hashem Hashivenu Hashem Eilecha Hashem Elecha V'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu Yameinu Kekedem Hey Hashivenu Hashem Elecha Hashem Elecha V'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem Hashivenu Hashem Elecha Hashem Elecha V'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu Yameinu Kekedem Kekedem Hashivenu Hashem Elecha, Hashem Elecha, v'nashuva.
Whew. Wow. If those are the good old days, I want to go back there with you, Evlyn. We can't just renew the days as of old. We got to go forward. We have to fight for justice. Things can't be the way they were. We got to move ahead. But that was, wow, Garden of Eden. As the Garden of Eden, that maybe renew as the Garden of Eden when people actually were getting along. Wow, thank you. I now turn to my dear teacher who helped me channel my grandmother's voices long ago. My dear teacher who helped me grieve with the mothers and feel their pain, to understand the violation of the Asherot, the violation of indigenous places of women's voices. She taught me to grieve for the voices that were shut out. This is a woman that helped me find my inner Shekhinah, as she did for many of us. And she paved the way. And she's here tonight, our wonderful Rabbi Leah. So I'm really honored. I tasked her to figure out and channel who is Amtilai, who is the mother of Abraham, what can we learn from this ancestral tradition that's been hidden from us? Can we come forth? Can we conjure? Can we channel her? Can we bring her to us today to heal, to move on? And so, Leah, please tell us what you've learned.
It's delightful to have another heroine, another Ima to research and connect with. So thank you, Jonathan, for rediscovering her, and Susan for bringing her into our world through your bowl. So who was Amtilai? In the piece that Jonathan found, she's called Amtilai Bat Carnivo, and I've worked on her name a little bit with the Hebrew, and I'm convinced that her name would have been Amtilai Bat Keren Navo or Keren Nevuah. Amtilai, the daughter of the ray, the light beam of prophecy. Her first name, Amtilai, also begins with the word emet. So I would translate her as my truth, the daughter of the ray of prophecy, or perhaps as truth teller, carrier of the beam of insight. So I'm convinced that she was priestess and prophetess, and a lot of how I see her is really couched in the research work that our colleague Savina Tubal did on Sarah the priestess and Hagar the Egyptian. So I want to approach her in two ways. I want to give you a little bit of a background on Ur in the Chaldees, where she came from and what her society was like, and then to move on to the message that I've been getting from her. So first of all, Ur was one of the oldest cities in the world. It was established about 20,000 before the Common Era. It may indeed have been the oldest city in the world. And it was in Upper Mesopotamia. It would now be possibly southern Iraq, although some scholars say that Sumer included parts of Turkey and what we now call Syria. And the people called the Chaldeans the Kasdim. Some scholars say that was Hasidim, that they were devoted. They came to the area about 9,000 before the Common Era. And what they shared with the great Mesopotamian cultures before them was art, sculpture, music, philosophy, architecture, and a belief in a whole pantheon of gods. Their main god was Marduk, kind of like our Mordechai, and their main goddess was Inanna. And many of their cities and their temples were devoted to specific deities. In the case of Ur, it was devoted to the moon god. And sometimes his name is Sin, and then there are other names. Some people think that Mount Sinai has a connection to him. So Just like Abraham's father was a devotee and a priest of the moon god, she would have been in a huge temple that was devoted to the moon god. Their temple was called a ziggurat, and it was immense because it was not only the site of their spiritual work, it also was the site of their government. It's kind of like if you put the Congress, the Supreme Court, and commerce and fishing and trading along with Kedusha. So it had everything. And it was very elaborate because they had all kinds of metals. In addition, it was called the Bronze Age at that time that Abraham came along, which is about 3600 before the Common Era. But they already had metals, beautiful sculpture. They had precious stones. They had elaborate clothing. They had huge candelabras. So it's a kind of lavish lifestyle. And how we know about it is that there were many archaeological excavations that were done at Ur, and many of them focused on very ornate royal tombs where not only was the king or the queen buried, but they would have 60, 70 helpers that were interned with them, and they think they took some kind of sleeping potion to accompany them. But anyway, this is her background. And so here is this amazing woman, priestess, and she is going to give birth to this Redeemer child. They see Avraham, like we later see Moshe Rabbeinu, as the one who is coming to bring the light into the world. She may have been married to Terach, Abraham's father. I think it might have been an unusual or unconventional marriage because she was a priestess, and those priestesses didn't usually get married and have children at that time. And also some of the Islamic sites can think that Terach was actually Abraham's uncle, not his father. But either way, she, I think, was the one who made the decision to send Abraham and Sarah with Lot on the road. And I believe it was because Ur was kind of on the way down. It had been in existence for so many thousands of years. It had been conquered and dominated by so many different empires. So one theory is that it was starting to decline. And I believe that Amtilai saw the future and realized that the king they had at that time, possibly Nimrod, although he occurs and reoccurs, was like what we're living through now, that there was tyranny, there was injustice, there was greed. And I believe it's for that reason that she, seeing the future, sent Abraham and Sarah out on the road to spread a message of wisdom and unity and peace. Now, when you think about it, they're coming from this elegant, fantastic culture. And priestesses at that time lived in the temple grounds, and next to the kings, they had the most luxurious lifestyle. And she's sending them out to live like indigenous people. She's sending them out to assume the mantle of semi-nomadic herdsmen with a lot of cattle. And I think that was a kind of camouflage. Over these last few weeks where she's been speaking to me, that theme has been very strong, that there was an effort to make them look ordinary, and possibly the animals were also for food, but it was mostly to send them into Canaan looking like kind of regular people, rather than the spiritual aristocracy from which they descended. And of course, you remember that Terach, Abraham's father, goes as far as Haran Naharaim, and then he stays there. One of his sons, Abraham's brother, is also called Haram. And what we've learned is that from Ur, they would go through Haran and eventually follow trade routes down through what would now be Israel to Egypt, because they traded with the Egyptians. I picture her working in the main temple and possibly in an inner shrine like a Kodesh Kadoshim, where she's surrounded by crystals and jewels of all kinds that enable her not only to see the future, but enable her to telecommunicate with beings all over the world. You may remember that Abraham, in one midrash, is said to have a stone that allowed him to see all over the world and communicate with beings elsewhere. I believe that she stayed behind because it was her insight, her guidance, that the culture was declining, that it was time to send the wisdom elsewhere, and that if she sent them abroad with some of these special stones, she would always be able to communicate with them. I think that she was always in Sarah's tent and Rivka's tent and Rachel and Leah's tents. I think she was the anchor, the matriarchal anchor of all the priestess and ritual work. And so she sends them out and she gives them some kind of direction as to how they are to proceed. What she doesn't tell us yet, and this is where you all come in, is why would we seek her help with Magefa, with plague, as the Kabbalists of maybe the 16th century thought. And part of it was, of course, that she was very powerful and strong, and she may have lived in time of plague or other forms of environmental catastrophes because the Chaldeans in Ur had ways of controlling floods. The city had been flooded many times. They had agriculture, they had metal labor, they had shipping, they had just about everything you could think of, but they had all sorts of viaducts, even before the Romans, for moving water around the city to all its different neighborhoods. And they also had some method of controlling floods and dealing with the environment. And so here's this woman who is the progenitor of all of our ancestors. And she stays in that magnificent temple where she can in some way still impact on what is going to happen in the land of Israel. And when I asked, why were we calling her? The answer I got was that it was time to reawaken her, and it's time for people to be her disciples. But I also was told that we are supposed to ask her, what is it that we can each of us do about COVID? What is the message that she wants to send us about this plague, this Magefa? And so I would ask you to sit together now for a few minutes in silence and to picture her in her beauty and in her light, wearing magnificent priestess robes. They had gorgeous fabrics, wearing all kinds of jewels. And almost like she's floating in that spectacular temple. And she feels the past, she's in the present, but she is capable also of seeing and impacting on the future. So what is it that we need to hear from her about how it is that we walk through this plague? What is our personal message? What is the message to our community? What is it to our country? What is it to our planet? I believe that part of why we're here tonight is to listen and to feel and to open ourselves up to be the receivers, to be the Mekubalim, the Mekubalot. She was clearly Mekubelet, one who received guidance and wisdom and insight. And she is eager to be called upon and to share it with us. So this is our time to ask the She'elah, this huge question. What can we do about this Magefa? How are we to proceed? and we may get very different answers because there are so many pathways. But we are asking you, Am Tilai Bat Keren Nevuah, to give us a bit of that Nevuah, some of that prophetic insight.
Thank you. Rabbi Leah, Am Tilai, we thank you too. You're here. What an incredible teaching. Something to consider throughout our ritual and afterwards too. Am Tilai. So I now call on my sister and teacher and friend, colleague, Diane Elliot, Rabbi Diane Elliot, to lead us and to teach us at this moment.
Rabbi Leah, thank you for that amazing dream that you led us into. I want to offer us, as we move toward our ritual of healing and of really focusing our intention on what we want to bring through to fill this new bowl with, the bowl of our bodies and all that we're holding. Perhaps you didn't get an immediate answer from Amit Lai about what we're to do. And it's important to know that this is a process that we're in for the long haul. What are the ways that we can continue to open ourselves to receive the transmission, to receive the wisdom? So I invite you to join me in a couple of movements, a couple of embodied practices to open the channels within and allow ourselves to become more receptive to the wisdom that wants to be pouring through us right now and filling our bowls. The first practice is inspired by this line from the book of Lamentations of Echa that we have just chanted for Tisha B'av. Shivchich chamayim libech nochach pnei Hashem. Pour out, usually we translated, pour out your heart like water in the presence of the divine. But we know that Lev in Hebrew, in the ancient way of thinking about our bodies, is also our minds. It's our nervous systems. It's all that we're holding that might occlude still that memory of stress and distress that we hold in our nerves that might make our channels less available to receive the wisdom and the prophecy. So this first practice is a simple practice of releasing your nerves, pouring out the nerves like water into the earth. You can do this sitting right where you are, as long as you have a little space in front of you, or if you wish, you can stand and feel your feet underneath you. I'm going to move back just a little bit. simple practice, beginning with your brain in your head, softening and just letting the brain come forward. And the nerves are filled with water. The nerve cells, 90% water. So we want to pour out, gradually moving forward toward the earth. Feeling how the face softens and the neck and the arms soften. And then the torso softens. The energy from the nerves releasing, pouring down through the pelvis and legs, and letting the earth, our mother, take whatever we can release right now from our nerves, opening those channels, letting them become fresh and new, and then gradually unfurling. Just invite you to try this with me, even if it's just your head coming forward. It's a powerful refresher, an opener. One more time, just letting the brain come forward and rolling down through your nerves. Cranial nerves to the face, releasing. Brachial nerves to the arms. The whole sympathetic nervous system, releasing the organs, the legs, the pelvis, just letting it pour down. And if movement is challenging for you, you can simply do this as an image, letting the old information, the oldness stream out of your nerves, and then gradually unfurling back to And one more movement here I want to share with you. And that comes from the heart center, the Tiferet center of our tree. And our arms are literally extensions of the heart through our blood vessels. That's how our arms first grow, as extensions of our heart, and the bones and nerves come later. So I just invite you to stretch your arms out to either side. Feel your full width. And then just for a moment, feel, if you can, that sometimes habitual pinch that happens between your shoulder blades. This is a reflex that happens when we startle, when something shocks us. It pinches together in the back and oftentimes gets stuck like that, pinched together. So I invite you just to feel that pinch, exaggerate it for a moment, and then we're going to complete this reflexive movement. Oftentimes we don't get to complete it by circling our arms around and embrace. We become the bowl when we embrace. Feeling your heart center, your right arm, chesed, your left arm, gevura, creating that bowl of embrace that releases the stress and the fear. We'll just finish this movement by sharing with you a poem that came to me from our community member, Gloria Krasno, who wrote it for this Tisha B'av. And I just invite you to continue stretching and feeling your arms, your nerves, flowing, fluid, able to receive the messages of wisdom that want to come through to fill your bowl. And these are Gloria's words. Tiferet, heart. Those who sow in grief will reap in joy. Days of mourning to be balanced, holding on and holding up, finding center in Tiferet, third in line of the seven sefirot, balanced shape of Tiferet, centered midst the yes of chesed and the deen of no, spreads light to all six directions, reaching out with pure love, enfolding all, spell out the Tif far et teeter-totter, centered by the perfect Aleph, the balancing presence bringing together both sides of which and whether. Embrace the wave of remembrance, restore the balance of energy, return to the joy of life for all from the heart of all that is. Know your center forever. So may it be.
Ken Yehi Ratzon. Oh. So, Chavirim, it's time for our ritual. I'd ask those of you that have a candle or incense to go get it now. If you'd like to burn a candle or bring incense, we're going to do as our ancestors did in time of plague. They burned incense, the Ketoret, different varieties of Ketoret against the plague. Bamidbar, they burned Ketoret. In the Middle Ages, they burned Ketoret. Throughout Jewish history, they burned Ketoret against the plague, against the Magefa, spiritual healing, against the miasma of illness. That was a reflection of human behavior. They didn't know why. We still don't know why plagues emerge, but I'm going to light the Ketoret here, my little incense. Those of you that want to light a candle, please do so right now as we chant, and I will be chanting a special prayer that I wrote for the bowl. That will be all of us. And you'll have a part in this too, as you'll see. Avinu Malkeinu, Imanu Malkateinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Imanu Malkateinu, Mekor Chahayim, Kale Deveru Mashki, O Magefa Malenu, Rifa'enu Adonai, Koyesh Vetever, Hoshiana, Hatzlichana. And we'll sing that again. Now we'll invite Keshira to lead us also in a chant. And then I'll come back and do that at the end as well. Keshira.
Dear ones, I wish to offer this song by Batya Levine of Let My People Sing. The song is called We Rise. And this song was written, I believe, before or during Standing Rock, and is really a testament to how we continue to rise and rise. So if you would wish to add additional kavanah in the chat as the scent of our incense burns in this Ketoret ritual, that is very, very welcome. And we rise, humbly hearted rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise, in hope, in prayer we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Tikva, tefillah, hinenu. Tikva, tefillah, hinenu. And we rise, all of our children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here.
תקווה, תפילה, הננו, תקווה, תפילה, הננו, and we rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage, rise. We're fighting for life, we rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. Tikva, tefillah, hinenu. Tikva, tefillah, hinenu, and we rise, and we rise, and we rise. May we rise.
All right. Ken Yiratzon. So beautiful and powerful. Ken Yiratzon. Woo! All right. So I'd like to share my screen and we'll all say the prayer. If I can share, let's see. Lorelei. If I can share here, let's see. If not, I'll just read it.
You should be able to.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. We can chant it together. Avinu Malkeinu, Imenu Malkatenu, Mekor Chaim, Kale Dever Mashkita Magefa Me'aleinu, Refeinu Yah, Kor Yoshvei Tevel, Ushiana Hotzlichana, our divine heavenly parent, source of life, keep pestilence, destruction, and plague away from us. Heal us, Havaya, heal us. The inhabitants of this planet, save us, may we thrive. Keep pestilence, destruction, and plague away from us. Keep pestilence, destruction, and plague away from us. You can unmute. Keep what away from us? Unmute. Say it. Say it. What away
Pestilence,
from us?
destruction, and plague away from us.
Hatred.
What do you want to say here? Pestilence, destruction, and plague away from us.
Anguish away from us.
Torment. Torment.
Ashes and away from us.
Coming away.
Hatred away from us.
What away from us? Please unmute. Tell us. Speak it. Say what you don't want, what you want. Away, away.
Agoggery.
The waters.
Climate disaster away from us.
Indecision away from us.
Keep illness away from us.
Racism.
Supremacy away from us.
White supremacy.
Keep fascism away from us.
Hardedness.
Keep
Away
police
from us.
brutality away from us.
Racism away from us.
Away. Degradation away.
All the inhabitants.
False prophets away from us.
Arukadya Shahina, heal us all.
Quacks.
Nepotism away from us. Narcissists away from
On
us.
Amtilai, all the mothers, Rebecca, Rachel, Leah, Devorah, Miriam, Moshe, David, Zechariah, We call on all our ancestors to help us banish this plague, banish racism.
How do I do that?
Thank you, holy
No.
beings here. Let's mute again. Let's mute. And I'm going to bring us back, and we're going to ask Rabbi Fern Feldman, my dear colleague, to lead us now in a transition, meditation, and visualization. Rabbi Fern.
So you might want to, if you don't already have your feet flat on the ground, uncross any limbs. You may want to close your eyes. Breathe out.
Powerful.
And know and feel that the destruction of the temple is the destruction of the heart, of the body, the destruction of the holy earth itself. Breathe out and notice where in your body you feel that destruction. Where in your body you feel the harm done to the bodies of others, particularly the murder of Black and brown bodies now in this time. Where in your body do you feel the destruction of the earth? One football field size of forest cut down every second. There goes another field of trees, now another, and another. Notice where in your body you hold that. Another field of trees gone, and another. And now breathe out. And hear, know, and feel the words of a woman who has just lost her brother and then found out she had metastatic cancer. She wrote, I walked down to the cliffs where there were scores of people walking. As I entered the fray, I realized that everyone there had or would feel what I was feeling. I felt more a part of the big blob of living and suffering and loving and losing and ebbing and flowing and dying than I'd ever felt. I don't feel like why me. It's more like what me. Breathe out and become aware, not why me, but what me. What me. And hear this. Rabbi Elazar said, anyone within whom there is knowledge, Dea, it is as if the holy temple were built in their days. About this, Rabbi Miles Krasen says, the third temple is the temple of Da'at, the temple of direct knowledge of God. The earth itself is the third temple. The whole world is nothing but the temple of God. Breathe out and let mind open to Da'at, to the embodied knowledge that the whole world is the temple. Rabbi Yitzhak Morgenstern teaches that we reach Da'at by vibrating back and forth between Bina and Chochmah, understanding and wisdom, the Ani and the Ayin, the I of the small self, and the nothingness of the greater self. See in your mind's eye what a simple process this is to permute the letters Ani, Aleph, Nun, Yud, the I, the self. Move the Nun one place forward to make Ayin, Aleph, Yud, Nun, nothingness. In a moment we will chant Ani, Ayin, Da'at, I, nothingness, embodied knowledge. When we focus on the words and letters we sing, we are in the mode of Ani, of self, of the discernment of the uniqueness of each precious being. When we focus on the melody, the light coming through the words and letters, we permute the ani into the ayin, the self to the nothingness. We feel our edges give way and enter the place beyond differentiation. And running and returning, vibrating, continually shifting between these two awarenesses, we reach da'at, open mind, the awareness that the entire world is the third temple, the deepest of the deep, out of which arises redemption and tikkun. Please join me in that vibration. Ani ayin da. Ani ayin da. Ani ayin da. Ani ayin dat. 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 One more time, that vibration really opens the mind completely. Ani ayin dat. 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 And in this space, ask yourself, what act of repair can I commit to right now? When it comes to you, hold that. Hold it in your body. Hold it in your mind. Hold that commitment as your own piece of building the third temple. And as you open your eyes, continue to see out with that vibratory, embodied knowledge of the holiness of all you see.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Fern. Thank you so much. Very beautiful. Oh, wow. I don't want to leave where you took us. We might just stay there for another eternity. Eternity in the place you took us. Thank you. Hard to leave. We'll turn to our dear friend Elizheva Hurvich now for her contribution tonight.
Vani tefilati lecha Adonai Eratzon Elohim Baruch Chasdecha באמת ישעך. And I am my prayer. Tefillati, I am my prayer. To you, for you. Yud, hey, vav, hey. In this age, Ratzon, it's this time of yearning. Shekhinah, from your great unbounded chesed, from your limitless chesed, from your divineness, answer me, Aneni, with the fullness, with the Aleph, the Mem, and the Tav, with the fullness, with the full truth, with the everything of your salvation. Va'ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon ve'Elohim berov chastecha Aneni, Aneni, Anenu, Anenu, Ve'emet Yeshecha. And as for me, may I be my prayer, may I reflect to you. Oh, Holy One, in this moment, in this time of desire, Shekhinah, with your unbound love, answer me with the truth, with the fullness, and your sure deliverance. Vani tefillati Aneni be'emet Yeshecha. Aneni Aneni באמת ישעך.
Thank you. Oh, wow. So what is an auspicious time? What is Eit Ratzon, God's will, our will together as we come out of Tisha B'av? What is auspicious? What is timely? May we feel that now, that it's timely to do what we need to do. I've asked our dear friend and teacher, Cantor Hirschhorn, to inspire us at the end of this ritual to teach us and sing to us. Cantor Linda. Thank you, Elizheva, so much. Thank you so much.
So Susan asked me to do a couple of songs. And one of the things, so I've been writing a lot of music to Psalms. And one of the things about Psalms that are so amazing is that sometimes even in the same breath, in the same sentence, we express our gratitude and we express our vulnerabilities and we express our neediness and we express that we've had enough, all at the same time. But this Psalm 30, I think, brings us a little bit out of our mourning selves into our most joyous selves, and gratitude for those moments when, even in the midst of whatever it is we're going through and things that can be so difficult, we still do find places where we dance and we connect and we feel the joy of that. Aromim Adonai ki dilitani. If you want to get up and dance a waltz. Veshivati elecha vatirpaeni. You lift me up, you heal my soul, turn my sorrow to dance. And for all this may I give praise, for all of this give thanks. Lift me up and heal my soul, turn my sorrow to dance. For all of this may I give praise, for all of this give thanks. Aromim Adonai ki dilitani. Veshivati elecha vatirpaeni. You lift me up, you heal my soul, turn my sorrow to dance. For all of this may I give praise, for all of this give thanks. Lift me up and heal my soul, turn my sorrow to dance. For all of this may I give praise, for all of this give thanks. And then I think Susan wants me to conclude. So I wrote around, so I'm gonna actually try to play a little bit of my recording, because so you can hear a little bit of the round, but I'll also teach it to you. And so if you're staying on mute, you could try to sing the round with me from this wonderful Bertold, based on the Bertolt Brecht quote. In these hard times, in these dark times, he wrote, we'll always have singing. But here's how this song goes. Let's see. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will
always be singing.
always be
Always.
singing in these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing. Yes, in these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. You need to hear that again? Do you need to hear it with the round? Yes, no, Jonathan, should we run it one more time?
Run it one more time, Linda.
Okay, so I'll run it one more time with the MP3. I can sing. There's 3 or 4 parts. You're free to email me to get the whole round with the sheet music if you want, Linda at lindahirschhorn.com, because I've been sending this song around and it makes me happy to sing it. I hope it makes you happy to hear it. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. In these hard times, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. Yes, there will always be singing, always be singing in these hard times. Yeah.
Yay. Yay. Let's all meet. Thank you so much. That was fabulous. Just what we needed. An auspicious moment to sing that. Eit Ratzon. At the time we're birthing Messiah out of the grief, I'd like to ask my teacher and friend, Hana, to bless us at the end of this wonderful ceremony and ritual. Hana, if you can unmute yourself. Is Hana here? Yes. Unmute yourself, please. Yes. Yes. There we go.
Susan asked me to talk some about how we go from mourning to joy. And I've been working for about 10 years collecting the neuroscience and Judaism, the corollaries in Judaism that talk about just how can we do that. So I'd like to talk about Yerida Tzorech Aliyah. It's necessary to go down in order to come up even higher. And what does it take to create the third temple? And I'm going to use an image of using 20 stones to create this new temple. And these stones are practices from Judaism, and also they've been proven by neuroscience studies. And they answer the question of how do we improve our immunity? How do we stay joyous when everything around us is suffering? How do we stay in our Tselem Elohim when everything is disintegrating around us? So from Jewish teachings and neuroscience, we find these 20 stones, these 20 practices that we can actually rebuild a temple of joy. There are, neuroscience tells us that there's 7 joy biochemicals that are inside of us, inside of our brain, inside of our kitchkas, but they're latent. And by these 20 practices, we can bring them out and actually tangibly experience joy. So I'd like to go through what they are very quickly. The first is every day have a period of spirituality where you're reconnecting with spirit, where you're either davening or singing or meditating, awakening awe in some way. The second stone is become aware of your thoughts and how much you're dwelling in negativity, and switch that to solution-based thinking. What can I do about this to change the situation? The third stone is movement and exercise. So dance, swimming, walking in nature, 30 minutes every day. And the fifth one is be sure to cultivate and nurture relationships. Social relationships are really the key to joy. And we have to really reach out and connect because of the social distancing. So it takes more effort, but it is a key to joy. The sixth is to consciously practice acts of kindness and compassion. Research studies show that this actually gives you a helper's high. You get more joy than the person to whom you've given. The seventh is to daily have a time of cultivating appreciation, gratitude, thankfulness. The eighth stone is appreciation of yourself. We usually leave ourselves out, but it's so important in order to release the joy biochemicals, to have a period of really looking at yourself and appreciating your efforts, your qualities, what you've done. The ninth stone is learning to savor. That means to really attend to the good things that happen to you in your daily life, and then appreciate them, and then enhance them, and intensify them, absorb them, and imprint them. So stay with them for 20 seconds. The 10th stone is to find your purpose, find your meaning, your passion, your aspiration. This activates all the joy biochemicals. The 11th stone is to learn something new every day, try new and different experiences. So it's like having a period of learning every day where you're either opening a book or you're listening to a lecture or you're somehow exposing yourself to the wider world. The 12th stone is to make sure that you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, because it's during sleep that all the 7 joy biochemicals are produced. The 13th stone is music and singing. Just like Linda said, even in these hard times, singing still is with us and we need it. So music and singing releases all the joy biochemicals. So we really need to do it every day. Have a period of singing every day. And the 14th stone is creative expression, whether it be drawing or drama or writing or creating new interpretations of teachings. This all releases the joy biochemicals. The 15th stone is to observe your unpleasant feelings with non-judgmental awareness. Cultivate mindfulness, witnessing without clinging, a mind that simply observes without judging, without clinging, without holding on, but watches, experiences, and then lets go. The 16th stone is to bring more humor into your life. Laughing builds endorphins and stimulates the release of all the joy biochemicals. So find a way to find to bring more humor every day into your life. The 17th stone is to get outside daily in nature and get exposed to light for at least 15 minutes. This releases all the joy biochemicals. And the 18th stone is to have a period during the day where you engage in deep, elongated, slow breathing. So that's inhaling for the count of 4 and exhaling for the count of 4. This has the effect of releasing all the joy biochemicals. The 19th stone is to be sure to set boundaries and limits. This is developing an internal locus of control instead of being controlled by external circumstances. And the 20th stone is to imagine that you're back in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden. And what would you be eating there? You'd be eating mostly fruits and vegetables. So neuroscience says if you want to produce the joy biochemicals, fill your plate with 2/3 fruits and vegetables and the other third protein. And by doing all these 20 practices, your body, mind, and spirit will naturally produce a state of joy and well-being. So I want to bless us all that we will take these practices into our daily lives, that we will consciously rebuild the third temple, and that we will really be able to exist in a state of joy, no matter if there's a plague happening, if the economy is being devastated, if people around us are in suffering. We will be more able to give, we'll be more resourced if we can find that place to joy. Many blessings. Thank you.
Keshira. Thank you, dear Hana. My whole life in Berkeley was made joyful by looking in your wonderful face and your beloveds. You bless us with your punam and your wisdom, your presence. Continue to bless us, my dear, with all your blessings and your children and grandchildren as well, your progeny. So we're all blessed here tonight. I want to read one more prayer for you all that you can say Amen. It's another prayer against the plague and against what we're fighting, to move towards joy, as Hana has so beautifully articulated for us. Yehi ratzon milfanei avinu v'imenu shebashamayim l'rachem aleinu. Yehi ratzon milfnei imenu shebashamayim l'rachem aleinu v'yavletenu limnoa mashchit u'magefa ma'aleinu u'me'ar kol acheinu v'achiotenu be'artzenu u'ba'olam v'nomar amen. May it be the will of our Heavenly Parent, Mother, Father, non-binary, to show mercy toward us. May the divine word off desolation and pestilence from all of us and from our brothers and sisters and people that identify differently than brother and sister in the world. And let us all say, Amen. I'd like to thank tonight our wonderful teachers. Again, Ruth Gendler, Arielle Tonkin, Goodman, Evlyn Gould, Leah Novick, Diane Elliot, Keshira, Leah Fife, Rabbi Fern Feldman, Elizheva Hurvich, and Cantor Hirschhorn, and Hana Matt. Especially thanks to Susan Felix, my co-conspirator, my teacher and friend. Let's give a big hand for Susan before we leave tonight. We love you for putting this together conceptually. And I want to turn our attention now to a prayer for healing for everyone, especially for Richard Kaplan. If Richard's name could be known, his Hebrew name, that would be very good if he's still listening. I don't know. We want to offer a prayer. He's coming out. There was a miracle today. They took him off the ventilator. His kidney
Jonathan,
function.
we're still here.
Is you here, Wendy? Could you
we're
have
still
him
here.
say his Hebrew name? Yeah.
He's asleep right now.
Okay.
Shlomo Natan ben
Shalom
Nechama.
Natan ben Nechama. So our dear friend Richard, we ask for healing, b'shem Hashem, and for a miracle to pull him out of this incredibly difficult surgery and this struggle, his struggle. We ask for healing. Please, Hashta ba'agalav izman kariv. Please call out the names of people that need healing right now before we leave tonight. Who would you like to pray for that you know personally that needs healing, deep healing? Call out their names, unmute, please.
Rabbi Careless, Leah, Yosef Nachum,
Hina Bear,
The COVID victims.
Amy Bates Mariani, Menachem Potia,
Ruth Bader Ginsburg,
Tzarafa Batsira Leah,
Hana Elna Rifana Lanu Hana Elna Rifana Li Rifana La Rifana Lanu. Fill us, O God, we shall be healed. So that's the formal end of our program. I'd like to invite you all to take our classes in our Aquarian Minyan yeshiva. Yes, there's a yeshiva online. It's a yeshiva lamala, as they say. In a yeshiva lamala and yeshiva lamata. We have something online for you. We've got great teachers coming all year long, including Fern, more Diane, lots of great teachers all year. Teachers too numerous for you to mention. Some alive and some in the next world. You know Zoom. But
Jonathan, you're echoing. You're echoing.
Oh, hold on. Let's see what's going on here.
That's better.
Yeah. Okay.
I just unmuted myself because I really want to thank you. I mean, thank you. And it's so good to have you back as part of this community. It's such a blessing for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody who participated. Thank you, Bowl.
Okay.
Arielle,
Thank you all for being here. Thank you all very much for being here. We look forward to seeing you at the yeshiva and Aquarian Minyan events. We're going to be donating most of the proceeds to tzedakah. We'll tell you what it is. We'll meet and talk about that, to tzedakah for healing purposes, kosher money. So take us away, Keshira, to send us out again with that beautiful song.
Rise, humbly hearted, rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here. Tikva, hinenu, tikva, bila, hinenu, when we rise, all of our children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us, rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, tikva, tefillah, hinenu, tikva, tefillah, hinenu, and we rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage, rise, fighting for life, we rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here, in hope, in prayer, we're right here, and we rise, rise, and we rise. May we rise.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Keshira, everybody, for being here. Stay safe, be well, live in joy. We love you. Come back soon. Good night, everybody.